Roboquest is finally out of early access, and what we have here is a fantastic FPS roguelite that, if you're looking for some challenge to go with your runs, is an easy recommendation. In this one, it is up to us to take back the last bit of civilization on a dystopic world from an evil AI and her army of various killbots of different shapes, sizes, and killing ability. And to do that, we must get guns, level up, and survive run after run. So the closest kind of comparison to Roboquest would be Gunfire Reborn, one of my favorite games when we played it. And while Gunfire and Roboquest are kind of two sides of the same coin, they both do very different things in terms of their gunplay and progression. So in this one, the runs themselves are built on you choosing your different paths through the campaign. Each area that you have to choose from will offer different variations of enemies, rewards, and things to consider along the way. Now, as a major point, Roboquest features a lot more in terms of meta persistence or meta progression and persistent elements in it. When you survive or lose a run, you'll gain wrenches that can be used to upgrade your workshop. These provide you with the bulk of your passive upgrades over a run. This can increase the amount of health you get on leveling up, get you access to better or higher quality weapons, more quality of life features, and all that other good stuff. The other major form of persistence is in the use of finding gadgets. Gadgets are hidden throughout the various areas. They can be sometimes part of completing a side quest or just making enough progress to the main game, and these are the most game-changing aspects of Roboquest. When you start playing the game, you'll have access to just basically running, double jumping, and that's it. But as you unlock these gadgets, you will gain access to additional jump, a grapple hook, jetpack, and more. And these things just radically transform Roboquest into a completely different FPS, and I will be coming back to that point in a few minutes. As per the gunplay, Roboquest is definitely more FPS than Gunfire. In Gunfire, the kind of gunplay and combat was a little bit on the flowier side. It was definitely more focused on the RPG or abstracted progression, the chalice upgrade, scrolls, and all that. In this one, however, this is 100% focused on your skill at FPS play, and this translates into the weapons and weapon design themselves. There are far fewer, I would say, quote-unquote, gimmick weapons, although we could maybe argue that point with a kaboom grenade. Each weapon can come in different varieties or rarities, and this will affect the number of modifiers that can be attached to it. As a very interesting point, there are two kinds of modifiers in Roboquest. You have those that are kind of, I guess, like locked, or they'll be given on a specific weapon. If you have a rocket launcher or a gun that shoots explosives, it will obviously come with the explosive tag. A cryo rifle will come with the cryo tag. But everything else is completely up for grabs. This will allow you to unlock some crazy combinations, such as a shotgun that also shoots a rocket, pistols where all the bullets bounce, another gun that could gain a hit scan rocket launcher, which sounds as awesome as it does, and every alt fire in Roboquest is not specifically tied to a weapon, so you can get some very crazy combinations, and even more so as you unlock the chance for more alt fires to appear, higher quality weapons, and so on. All the weapons feel pretty good to use. I will say this, like, Roboquest features quite possibly like the most like fidelity awesome shotguns I've played in FPS in some time. Every shotgun just feels really good to use, and normally I'm not the shotgun guy, so it's definitely been a real treat. In terms of classes and different ways of playing, you have at the start access to just one class, and all the classes are basically just like different models of our main character. You're not going to be playing as different characters. Every class gets access to its own set of unique perks you can choose from leveling up, a special power, and kind of a special secondary attack. The stealth or recon character can throw javelins that do massive damage and can become invisible for a few seconds, while other characters get their own unique variations. As a very surprising touch to Roboquest, not any of the classes features perks that are weapon specific, such as this perk only enhances shotguns, this perk is for pistols. Instead, the perks are either very generalized, such as faster reload speed, more damage, or they are respective or specifically to your power or secondary attack for that class. The Recon class I just mentioned a moment ago, one of their possible perks allows you to attack and not break stealth, at the cost that it causes it to go down a little bit faster, but this basically gives you a few seconds of complete damage invulnerability as everyone will not be looking at you as you do more and more hits. And this is one of the more fascinating aspects of Roboquest's progression compared to some of the other games we've played. There is certainly the potential for game-breaking combos in this game, much like in any other roguelite that we've seen, but it's a lot more subtle in this one compared to Gunfire. In Gunfire, once you kind of start going downhill or the boulder starts picking up steam, it goes very crazy. We have seen some insane runs in Gunfire. You can kind of go in a different direction here in Roboquest, that once you start kind of steamrolling with the right perks, hopefully, and the right items you find, it is possible to do some massive damage. And you're going to find that going for crits and elemental damage is going to be very important. This is one of those games that once you've kind of settled on the build for that run, you have to push it as far as it can, especially if you're playing this on the different Guardian difficulties, or that's kind of like Roboquest's version of Ascension mode. So with all that said, this is a phenomenal game. It feels really great to play. So some of the issues I have with it are definitely more on the nitpicky side. The first thing, and this is very important for those of you watching, Roboquest is not the same kind of persistence and meta progression as Gunfire. As I've said throughout this video, this is an FPS first, roguelite second. There is not one single persistent upgrade, meta unlock, gadget, whatever, that is going to take the place of skill. In Gunfire, if you're getting good enough chalice upgrades and the right scrolls, you don't need to be the best FPS player to survive in that game. This one is very different. If you are not good at kind of rapidly attacking enemies, dodging attacks, and so on, there is not one thing that's going to kind of aid you or supplement that ability. You're going to die very quickly. And Roboquest is noticeably harder than some of the roguelites that we've played because of that. And that can be a little bit off-putting for some of you watching this. Again, if you're not good at this game or not good at FPS gameplay, you're going to be kind of locked away from getting the good and cool stuff. And that is another kind of possible issue with this game. The persistence and meta progressions are really good to the point that, again, it feels like you're playing two completely different games at the start of this game versus all gadgets unlocked. Once you get the grappling hook and the jetpack, your entire ability to engage in combat and have defensive moves as well is 100% forever changed. And while you technically don't need them to beat the game, I can't imagine doing the final boss without having at least one or both of those abilities. And speaking of, this game also features a lot more platforming and movement-based challenges. You're not going to see them in this video, but there are several sections that are tied to some of the meta unlocks that require you to run through an area very fast And if you don't have that movement tech, it is monumentally frustrating to do these attempts. And to keep with the difficulty theme of this one, some of the enemy patterns, especially when they're at full aggression on Guardian 4, can be incredibly frustrating to avoid. There are some cases where it just feels like you're not going to be able to avoid getting a hit. Such as when you start running to more enemies with the sniper variant, that if you don't stop them from attacking, they basically shoot a tracking shot, and it can be very hard to notice it when 10 to 15 other guys are shooting at you at the same time. The final boss is kind of like laser barrage, is so frustrating to avoid. And I think the game could have done a better job of onboarding players to how the different defensive moves can be used, especially making use of the grappling hook, which I believe grants you iframes while you're being pulled in a direction. Other than those points, there is some kind of like light technical issues with this one that I'm hoping will be fixed or adjusted. So the first one that will probably not be fixed by the time you're watching this video is that the game only features 2-player co-op. I would have loved like a 3 or 4 person co-op similar to that of Gunfire, but at the same time I can completely understand just how crazy that would have been to scale and balance. The more pressing issue with this game, and the one that I'm very surprised has been left in at 1.0, is that the game does not feature any kind of quick save or temp save functionality. What that means is that if you have to leave a run for whatever reason, you have to forfeit it. And run length is going to vary based on your position in this game. When you're starting out, most likely a run will take you at minimum 1 hour. Once you've gotten all the upgrades and you know what you're doing, runs can last 35 to 40 minutes, give or take, especially on what weapons you get and what class you run. But it would still be nice to be able to stop the game and come back to things, especially once you finish a level or finish like a section of things. With everything said, however, this is a fantastic game. If you enjoy roguelike design, and especially if you love FPS, I should say high-speed FPS gameplay, this is an easy recommendation. And definitely congratulations on the developers for improving the game on early access, and I hope to see a lot more from this game and the studio in the future. So thank you so much for watching. I would like to say that this was played with a press key, but I honestly don't know. I've had this in my library for about a year or two, so this could be a press key, this could have been from someone else. If this was in fact a key from the developer, then I definitely thank you for submitting it. If you'd like me to play your game for a future stream, video, and all that, please reach out. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.